What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Moving with Life. I can't remember what episode. I think it's 143. Today I'm recording on the 9th, so this will come out on the 11th. Hope you've had a good week since the last time we saw each other. Today it's going to be another one similar to last week. Not so much news directed, but I found this post by @IncomeFact, and you're going to see here in a second. I found them on it. I saved this post of theirs from Instagram. So another little Instagram kind of breakdown. I'm gonna go through these 6 things we wish we did in our 20s, and it's very relevant. It's very relevant for me today because things are changing and time's moving, obviously. But I had to say this one probably months ago, and I probably saved it also for this. For this situation, as far as November and birthday month and whatnot, it is what it is. But that's not what. Well, I guess this is what this episode. Is gonna be about, pretty much. But as I was reading through these, I can definitely talk about these, and then we'll go through the 6 things. I'm gonna obviously give some feedback. I'd really appreciate your feedback as I try to keep these. At least the content and my postings consistent, whether it's TikTok, Instagram. I did post Sean McConnell little memoir of some pictures that I've already I had already posted them, but tied in some more photographs and short pieces of video to the Sean McConnell song. I released it today, the 9th. I think on everything I did our YouTube. It's on the full things on YouTube and Instagram, and then I put just a snippet on TikTok. I put like a minute out of the 6 minutes. Very long. So I didn't realize how long the Sean McConnell song was. It's a nice little ballad about life. But let's jump into the 6 things, and then we'll go from there. So the first thing is manage your time. You're not overwhelmed. You're unorganized. Wake up earlier, create a to-do list, set deadlines, stick to your schedule. This is one of my top ones. I'm not going to say this is my top one yet, but because I'm still dealing with this, having another birthday and getting another year older, it's like I'm still trying. I know most times I actually don't feel overwhelmed, and I don't even get anxiety from my time. I get anxiety from the things I needed. I get anxiety from the things within those time frames and within those time limits. I feel like I get more anxiety from that than I do actually feel overwhelmed. It's knock on wood. I haven't felt overwhelmed. 'Cause I remember what overwhelmed felt like, and it's just I get more anxious if that makes sense. Like for me, like overwhelmed is like when I just feel like I need help and I don't know what to do. I can't make a decision. But I feel like I've been able to really dial back on priorities and my time so that I don't have that overwhelm. And yes, I still get anxiety within those moments sometimes, but I don't feel overwhelmed. At least the way I feel what overwhelmed is. Wake up earlier. My work schedule varies a good amount, so I try to get my 6 to 8 hours depending on my work schedule, and then go from there. Create to do this. I'm so inconsistent. I've tried doing like 5 things that I'd like to accomplish today. I kind of got it from Jordan Peterson, where he's like, create a schedule, but don't be a robot. Don't be a slave to your schedule either. Setting deadlines. Maybe that's the next thing I need to try. Setting some deadlines. I have things in mind. I have ideas that are coming to me. People I'd like to have back on. New people I want to have on. As these weeks progress, as we close out 2021, but sometimes it's also that's where my inconsistencies come into is when I have set a deadline, or like I know I need to record a podcast for this Thursday, or I want to record a sports segment because F1 was this weekend, or I watched a good amount of games from football, and I can, I'd like to just give my perspective on what's going on with whatever events are going on, right? But and sometimes I don't feel like turning on the camera. Sometimes it's just like I'd like to just enjoy the game. it's a balance. I'm still trying to find that balance. All right, that's basically what it's coming down to. Let me try to adjust this just a little bit. So that set deadlines, stick to your schedule. Jordan Peterson does talk about, Dr. Jordan Peterson does talk about, you want to create a schedule and you want to stick to it, but you don't want to become a slave of a schedule. Like, oh, at this minute, at this time, I need to do this, and this time I need to do this. Like, create a schedule that you want to stick to. Create a schedule that you want to have outcomes. You want to have favorable outcomes, whatever those, with the goals in mind, long term, short term. And that's what I think about when it says 6 schedule, because that's another thing. Is like I've tried the calendar thing where I'm writing down, okay, today I have work from this time to this time, and it's like, okay, but sometimes work will be busier than normal, or our work won't be as busy, and I'm either tired or I'm not as tired, but like I'd like to relax. Obviously, Gary Vee is always about the if you work your 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever those 8 hours are, from you take 4 hours off, and then from 9 to 2, you can be working on your side hustle, whatever that may be. And again, for me, it's just a big variance. And sometimes I just want to call home and just relax. Sometimes I would like to just watch TV and then go back and go to sleep. Maybe for that next night I need my 8 hours. But this is a good one. I like this one. Manage your time, because I feel like in the macro, in wanting to be consistent with a podcast and finding out what things are a priority that really mean something to me. I do try to manage my time around those things, and sometimes those things are just calling home and not worrying about extra not really logistical stuff, but extra goals that I have. But it's like, man, I need to, or I just want to call home. I'm just giving that's an example that I have that I can give that's mine. Number 2, stop looking for a new thing, a new job, a new city, a new partner. You're not overwhelmed, you're unorganized. Oh, they use that again? You're not overwhelmed, you're unorganized. Okay. Interesting. I didn't realize they used that twice. I know I felt this a lot when I'm in my. I did feel this a lot in my 20s. I maybe this is a way to put it even into words. Like, I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that I was getting tired of being on the road and the whole music thing. And now I think as I've transitioned into healthcare and seeing different things, learning new things, I feel like this is kind of relevant, But even then, when I was, looking for something new, it's like it wasn't that I was looking for, I was looking for a new job because I need an income. That's the only thing that I'm thinking about when it says, stop looking for a new thing, a new job. It's like, we need to work, something though. I don't have $1 million or $2 million or $10 million to just like, oh, I don't need to work anymore. It's like, well, sometimes maybe you do need to find a new job. I do agree with, if you're starting a new job, you need to give it a chance. I don't believe in, and I think this might maybe kind of old school now as we're going through this new era of business and technology. But when you go to apply for a job, like you need to give it a chance, work through it. Maybe you need the job. I've kind of mentioned where like if you're a parent, mom or dad, and you're tired of your job, but you have to take care of your family. It's like, well, there's a balance there, and maybe you want to start that side hustle so you can get out of that job eventually. But until that side hustle creates that monetization for you, then you need to work. We need to work. And so I do agree with find a new job if you're not happy where you're at, but also you need to give some time, especially if it is something that this is just for the sake of example. Oh, I would love to be a manager at Chick-fil-A. I haven't worked at Chick-fil-A ever. I think from what I've seen on the reciprocating consuming side, it seems like Chick-fil-A has their shit dialed in really good, and it's pretty awesome. So let's just say you want to be a manager at Chick-fil-A, and you get there and it's not what you expected it to be. I think you can start with asking yourself questions first, like, okay, what did you expect and what's kind of different from your expectations? are you willing? Could you be willing to work those expectations to then work to the expectations, and maybe you'll find your groove, and then you kind of work and you prosper, and you end up liking the job. You end up turning it around to where it works for you, and then you kind of stick around and you're good to go now. Continue your time. I'm not gonna say career, but your time in Chick-fil-A until you feel like, okay, it is time to move on, or I want to level up and I'm not able to. I don't know how the logistics, the inside, mechanics of Chick-fil-A work. So I can't give much more theory behind this, but it's to stop looking for something new and a new job. Like, you might need a new job, a new city, new partner. Man, if you've ever been through a heartbreak, that's the only thing I can think of immediately. At this moment, where if you're in a bad spot, and sometimes it is family. Sometimes it is family that you don't get along with. Sometimes it's immediate family. Sometimes maybe distant relatives, and maybe the answer is to move somewhere new. And to argue against this is like, you're 20. I do agree with Gary Vee with you should take a lot more risk in your 20s. Learning now, I'm trying to take a little more risk now, especially with my investments and certain things that I'm getting into, crypto, whatnot. But sometimes a new city, and sometimes depending where you're at, you go to somewhere new and you find new things to kind of not envelop yourself. You try to not evolve, engulf yourself. You try to engulf yourself into that new culture. Wherever that may be. Like if you're moving, I don't know. Like, my example is going from South Texas even to Corpus. It was like there's a lot of similar culture, but then we have Brewster Street. You have a lot of Brewster Street. You have the Hook. Minor league baseball. You just have something that is just different, and it is a bigger city, obviously, than where I'm from. But the South Texas I'm talking about is not like it's not. Corpus is still a little north, and San Antonio. Like, I'm not talking about that type. I'm talking about the actual South Texas. Anyways, sometimes you do need a new city. You need. There's so much out there, and that's one thing that I think I've seen, and I try to encourage people is like, if you don't want to, you don't have to. You also don't have to move. Technically, if we're going to stick to the verbiage that's being used here. It's not saying move to a new city or a partner. We're not talking about. We're not going to get into like have people. No. I'm continuing on. For the new city part, there's so much out there. There's so much out there, and I've been lucky now in this past 2.5, 3, going on 3 years now, where I've been able to travel here and there, met more than a handful of people, and a lot of them. Now they're going to be lifelong friends that are out doing awesome work in the healthcare, in healthcare at the moment, and even beyond. But new cities, it's been a cool journey on, and I can say from experience within the continental U.S. Obviously with COVID and all that stuff, I can keep kind of rambling about all the little details about a new city, but sometimes that's what you need. And if I can if I can retract to the fact of sometimes it's your family giving you a hard time, sometimes it's your significant other, whoever however whether it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever that is, when you go through a breakup, or if you're having trouble, maybe moving to a new city is the answer. And sometimes it's not the city. It's just finding the right tribe, the right group of people. And I have been using tribe just a little bit more, and maybe more in my thinking than actual verbiage and talking out loud. But sometimes it's not the city. Sometimes you just need to have the right people. You need to take out the wrong people and bring in the right people. Bring in some new people. It doesn't always mean, especially now with the internet and whatnot. It's like, I will say probably with LinkedIn and some of those types of websites, where you can definitely develop not necessarily a following, but a community, a culture. Your own little culture of things that you all like to talk about. Even the podcast. For me, it's like whenever I have brought on my friends and stuff, it's like there's stuff that we've talked about. And, we can go for 3 hours sometimes, and it's like that's just the way it rolled, because we go down these rabbit holes and things that bring us together, and we kind of roll off that. A new partner. It's kind of a hard one. I mean, if just opinion, but if they cheat on you, well then that sucks. It really does, and it's gonna take time to heal. It's gonna take time to process. It's gonna take time to move on, but maybe the answer is not stop looking for something new, like a new partner immediately. Especially in a more dire circumstance as far as like cheating and something to that effect. Because also, it seems like when you become complacent in your lifestyle, and I think David Goggins talks about it. I'm not right at this moment. I'm not going to look for it. Maybe I'll look for as an excerpt for the podcast. But he talks about like when people turn 30 to turn 40, you start putting foot. The way he kind of describes it, you put food on the table. And so then you start getting comfortable. When you start getting comfortable, you stop pushing yourself, you become complacent, and then you just kind of stop. And that's the only thing I can think of that's not like a dire situation such as cheating. It's like when you're searching for new partners, like when you become complacent in your life and you're not traveling to new, traveling as a group, as I say as a unit, but as a group, you're going to see new things, and the whole tourist type thing when you can, because I do endorse vacations and taking time off from work. Being a workaholic myself, I will say, I think I am. I've said it before, but when you incorporate travel and trying new things, trying new food, doing new things, it'll stop that. Maybe the need, the feel, whatever it may be, to find a new partner. So yeah, that's number 2. I went on kind of long for that one. All right. Number 3 this is probably my hardest one too. Focus on one thing. Everyone wants results, but nobody wants to stay focused. The gap between your current life and the life you want is called the focus. Focus 100% on one thing instead of doing 5 things with 20% each. 20% focus each. There's a little kind of grammar issue there, but anyways, I have an issue with this too. I like sports. I like having conversations. I like doing these types of one-way conversations, and then hopefully we get to a point where you do start replying and we start having a virtual conversation. One thing I have been trying to focus on from the bigger picture is the podcast. The podcast is the thing, and then I have these these things that kind of branch out within the podcast that I'm thinking about and I want to do, and then I'm doing this for now so I can keep putting thoughts on tape. I have had trouble, because even when I was doing music, I was playing music. Excuse me. I worked at 9 Round. I did the gym thing. When I was in school, I was going to school. I was working in retail, Harbor Freight Tools. I was starting to gig. I was doing 3 things at once, and I was going 100% at all of them. One thing that I kind of realized, and then Gary Vee brought it on one of his excerpts, was how he has one thing that's 80% of basically his not funds. Funds isn't the word he used, but 80% focus on one thing, which is VaynerMedia, which is like that's his business, that's his thing, that's the thing that pays the bills. And then he goes up to 110%. I've talked about you go 100%. Because that's all you can actually give, in my opinion. But so you have 80% for one thing, you have 20% to use on other things, and maybe you disperse it 5, 5, and 5. Those are your side hustles. Like for him, to give an example, for him it's Gary Vee, it's his garage sailing, talking about NFTs now on Discord, or having the Discord talking about NFTs, which he incorporates into Gary Vee, and then the content creation, right? So he has little percentages, but VaynerMedia is his 80% that he focuses on it, and it was starting to like, I was starting to kind of get into that, like, oh wait, like what, I do need something to like hold me down while I do the podcast, while I do try to build this thing that I have in my head that I want to do. But then, working in healthcare, I also like doing that. So there's a balance there. But also, like, working in emergency medicine and a little bit of trauma medicine, doing these things, talking, having conversations, kind of helps me decompress from being that, because I feel like if I bring all of healthcare to the podcast and do like a podcast only like about healthcare or like stuff that I've learned, then I'm gonna burn out, because it's all the same thing. It seems like I've connected the dot of like that's kind of what happened with music. I was gigging all the time, and then I was doing everything revolved around that, and I was giving 100% of that, versus like, hey, I would give within the 80%. I'm giving 100% when I'm in on shift or whatever. I am there. I am locked in. I am doing what I need to do. I'm doing my job. I'm focused. And then when I come home, it's like I'm done with that till tomorrow, till the next day, till the next shift. So with that in mind, that's kind of helped me feel a little more settled about decisions that I'm making, decisions that I'm contemplating. The 80% and then 20, dispersing 20% amongst other things. It seems to be helping me at least disperse my energy to where I don't feel guilty about doing multiple things. Just focus on one thing. I haven't done that. I don't do that. I like sports. I like podcasting. I like listening to podcasts. I like comedians. Like Joe Rogan, Brendan Schaub, Brian Callen, all those guys from LA. Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, all those guys. So yeah, I'm not a one thing, focus on one thing type of person. I don't think I'm the only one. I've realized that now. Again, this is also taking time. That's why I think this one makes a lot of sense for me. Like these 6 things, because it's taking me this amount of time since whenever I did find this. When did it get released? I'll see when it got released. But since since I found it, that it probably got released to now, where it's like things are kind of making sense. Things are kind of flowing. 6 things. Here we go. So this was released October 30th. So it hasn't been too long. I thought it was longer. So yeah, not even too long. 6 things. Yeah. So this is the one. So October 30th. It really has not been that long. A week and a half or so. But I had already been. But some of these thoughts, these are just kind of helping me put it out into word and into again, documenting my thoughts. But if you're that type of person, you want to become a doctor, you want to become a lawyer. There's obviously branches within those things. I always use those because they're kind of the simple, like, you need to go to school because you have to have your degree. You need to get your residency, go through med school, get your residency, then you do a fellowship if you want, a further specialty, and then you go from there. So yeah, whether you can focus on one thing or not, hopefully this kind of helps dial in. If you can't, you do 80%, disperse your 20. If you are focus on one thing, or what you want to do right now, then you can do that. It's all. I think it's all good as long as you're satisfied with your with what you get out of it. All right, number 4. Make gradual improvements. You can't go to level 10 with level 1 habits. I'm guilty with this. Okay, start by reading 1 page. Start by writing 1 paragraph. Start by doing 1 workout. Start today. Then focus on getting 1% better every day. Minor improvements over time lead to big changes. This used to overwhelm me, and even in trying to get the podcast rolling again. I see some of my favorite podcasters now, which doesn't only include like Jocko and Joe Rogan. It's like I like their studios, have high quality. They're starting to do like camera changes, have multiple angles, multiple cameras, and those are all like kind of the logistical things of a good production, right? But sometimes drawing it back and kind of minimizing helps me do it as a single entity. And then when I have guests on, I kind of account for that whenever I have to. Start by reading one page. I haven't been reading. I still have Call Sign Chaos by General Mattis that I haven't continued. I haven't finished it. There's another book I acquired because it was actually going to get thrown away. It was a 4-star general during the 90s. I'm not going to get it right now. But I want to keep reading, but then I find stuff like this. It's like, oh, like fuck. It's like, well, I feel like this is relevant for me too. Start by writing one paragraph. I do write. Again, all these things are my inconsistencies because, not even half the time, but a good amount of time goes to me thinking about how am I gonna do the next episode. I would like not to be redundant, but if something hits me, then I feel like I should record it. I'm trying to get better about just pressing record and then going from there. Sometimes there have been episodes in the past, and I couldn't tell you which one specifically now because when I re-listen to them to make sure like, hey, the quality is good, make sure there's no like cuts off, no breaks in the audio. I have had moments where even when I was still back home where I'd record and like, man, that one felt kind of it just didn't feel like my best. And then when I re-listen to it, I'm like, well, my points sound in order, everything kind of makes sense. I'm like, it's absolutely ready to post. And I feel like from there, when I've had guests or if I have like certain individual conversations like this, like it's only kind of built, it's kind of leveled up. But yeah, gradual improvements. Start by doing one workout. The biggest thing is just getting out of whatever room you're in. Getting out of your house. At some point for me, I know it got down to like, hey, just go walk for an hour. Like it got to that point where it's like, I was home but I was tired because I was working the night before or whatever my shift called for, and I didn't have the motivation, the even the actual self-discipline to like go work out. But it's like, hey, go out for an hour. And then I end up going for a jog for like 20-25 minutes, and then I walk the rest. I run out as far as I could for 20-25 minutes that I could reach, and then I walk back. And that's what my trend had kind of been when I was where I'm staying now, or where I've been, not where I am right now. Anyways, but if you're in a dire health situation, it can be as simple as just going outside. What I do have to remind myself is like, I have my legs, I have my limbs, I have my hands, I have my arms, I have functioning muscles, I'm able-bodied, I'm able to do things, and because I'm able to do things, I should work out. And that usually gets me, I just put on my shoes and then I go. And luckily, the gym's not too far from here, where I'm working out now. But and it's one of those things. It's simple but not easy. We can say, "Oh, I'm gonna work out today," and then you hit whatever time. You're like, I can go tomorrow. I'll just not eat, and then I'll not work out, and then I'll just balance that out. It's like, no, that's also not good. That's also not good. Definitely agree the most with is make gradual improvements. Start today. I agree with that. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the first. Don't wait for the new year. Don't wait for the end. Don't wait for whatever. I do agree. Don't wait. I don't always succeed, but I try not to fail as often. It says then focus on getting 1% better every day. I remember recording with Brian. This was probably a few years ago when probably the first year we were doing this. Because I was such in this hypothetical state of mind where it's like, imagine if you get 1% better every day, just 1%, and kind of build up. You're at 300%, 360 technically in 365 days. You're 365% better than you were when you first started. It's like, man, that's a lot of growth, right? That's a lot of growth, and you go through your ups and downs, and it's like, damn it, like because sometimes it does get aggravating. I know I feel aggravated a lot of times whenever I feel like, damn it, like I wish I wouldn't have stopped, or I wish I would have gone for, let's say, 10 minutes. I could have gone for a 10-minute lift, get a quick burn, and then I'll be done, stuff like that. But one thing I like to encourage, because I'm on the same path as you are, I feel like as you are, Start today. Don't wait for the 1st. Don't wait for the 15th. Don't wait for the end of the month. Don't wait for the end of the year, the new year. Progress into the 1st of the month. Progress into the new year. Let these be your sub building blocks, so that when you get to the new year, then you're gonna keep going. You're gonna actually go towards those goals. Right now, just getting movement. And if it's working out, it's getting movement. If it's starting a podcast, it's just getting some basic gear to record. If it's going to college because you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a technician or electrician or mechanic, plumber, HVAC, whatever it may be. Go. Do those things. Do the research. Go to school, whatever it calls for. You want to be a book writer, you feel like you have some good ideas, you can start writing. I know for Tim Ferriss, I think he does like a page a day. I think Jocko does like 500 words at a time or 1,000 words at a time, depending on his timeline, where he needs to get stuff done. Just to give some examples. Number 5, stop chasing motivation. Your motivation is not the problem. It's your discipline that's holding you back. Stay consistent. Meet your own deadlines. Find an accountability partner. Long-term discipline and consistency are far more important than short-term intensity. True. Part of my top or secondary biggest fault is, sometimes I don't want to go. And someone's like, I tell myself, just put on your shoes and go. Like, because for me right now is working out and trying to stay conditioned, in good condition. But for me, it is a health aspect. It's not. It's actually not like, I want to lift 1,000. I don't give a shit. I literally don't care. But I know for my health's sake, because I like to do things and climb mountains, and I have things that I want to accomplish in my life that call for discipline, not motivation. And even the podcast, even trying to record just once a week, so I can get the episodes out on Thursday. Eventually, in due time, but eventually get to 2 episodes a week and 3 episodes a week, maybe in 4 or 5. We'll get there when we get there. But just to give you what I'm currently dealing with and what I've dealt with, as time has gone by. I won't say I necessarily chase motivation, but I can tell you that on a day where it's like, oh yeah, I feel good and I go to the gym, it's like, okay, I get my workout in, it's a good burn. It's definitely different than a day where it's like kind of sit down and kind of just lounge around. It's like, I can just wait till tomorrow. It's like, no, just go. Consistency is a big thing. Again, I'm the most consistent, inconsistent person. I'm not gonna say that you'll ever meet or that you've ever met, but I feel like I am, and it's almost arrogant to say it like that. But it's like, again, I've tried the calendars, I tried the little notebook, I've tried writing just the 5 goals of the day. I've tried a bunch of variations of trying to make meet deadlines. The accountability partner, I feel like I'm trying not to add that to someone's like plate. I feel like we're all going through life. We're all trying to figure stuff out, and because of, I think that kind of does help me. It's like, well, I don't want to be like asking for this thing, but because of that, it's like, well, then hey, let's stick to it. I have to argue it helps me. I think it helps me a little bit. I'm not, I haven't. As I continue the podcast, as I continue these episodes and talking, conversing, I think those accountability partners we'll find within our community as it continues to build. Last one, find your purpose. Without direction or a clear plan, it's hard to live a fulfilled life. Everything in life becomes easier once you find your purpose and get clarity on what's next. Funny it says and get clarity on what's next when it's saying focus on one thing, stop looking for the new thing. Like your number 6 kind of like evolves from that. Simon Sinek says, find your why. Jocko says discipline equals freedom. Jordan Peterson, I don't know if this is directly the right correlation, but Jordan Peterson, he says you should be a monster, but you learn how to control that monster, and you you live well and you bring value to society. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, and because that's how I kind of take it. But clear plan is good. Tony Robbins has the RPM system, which you can YouTube it if you want. I do think you should ask yourself a bunch of questions in your. I think that's going to help you find your purpose. I think this is my opinion. Again, this is all my opinions. So it's a one-way conversation right now. But I think that if you ask yourself way more questions than answers you think you have in your 20s, it's going to help you gain some clarity. And this, I don't want to forget this. I want to forget to say this. I think it's more simple than you think. I don't think it's as deep as you think it is. As far as it doesn't have to be this metaphysical, this human, like this change. I mean, that's another thing is like, I know I felt it in my earlier 20s where like, I feel like my purpose was to help, not necessarily change the world. That wasn't my approach or thought, but I definitely wanted to make an impact on the world. And as time has evolved and I'm now where I am today, it's gotten way more simple. The tribe, the community that I have off the camera, the things that I'd like to bring, the interests that I think involve a community, what's going on in my actual community, actually back home, not even where I'm at or where I live currently. I don't think it's not as hard as I think. I'm trying to wrap up this whole statement. Try to simplify it before you expand. I think we look at the world. We look at water. We look at solar. We look at efficiency, gas efficient cars. This is like, solar power cars. I'm just giving an example. And it's like, I want to be the next person to the next Elon Musk, like that. And I'm not even saying don't try. I'm not even saying, but like, I just don't think that the actual thing that you're trying to solve, I think it's a lot more simpler than we think in our heads. And that's actually a Tim Ferriss question. It's like, what would this look like if it were simple? And once you're able to kind of like solidify that thing, that what would this look like if it were simple, and you're able to make it really, really, like the foundation really, really strong, then you can build out. And I think a lot of times I think the majority in our 20s, I know I am included in this. It's like we look from the outside in and we want to solve this big blanket of things versus, and I'm not even saying focus on one thing. I'm saying I think the purpose can be general, but you can build from the inside out, if that makes sense. I think that's a good way to close out today, because I think now I think it's just, for me, it's like you should have a clear plan. Direction is good, but also because direction and planning isn't necessarily your job, like your career, like I've said this before, like where your career isn't you. It's a piece of you. You work in a gas station, you work at McDonald's, you work for a lawyer, you are a lawyer, you are a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a secretary, you're a plumber, you're HVAC, you're whatever, paramedic, firefighter, policeman, whatever. That's a piece of who you are. It's not who you are. You are you, if that makes sense. And And maybe it's just something that I've learned now, where it's like, yeah, when I was a musician, that it's a piece of me. Andy Walker still lives in here, I'm still a musician. I still consider myself a musician. I just don't get paid for it. I'm not doing it for work, but it doesn't mean I don't play guitar anymore. It doesn't mean that I don't listen to music with intensity. It doesn't mean I don't think about like, oh, that bass drum was cool, or that drum lick was legit, or like, man, check out like that line that Sean McConnell, like the current song that I just posted, as the curtain came down, it's like, oh, that line, as the curtain came down, it's like so good. It doesn't mean I don't listen to it with intensity. But I think your purpose doesn't have to be your career. Maybe it'll turn into your career, because you do have like the Joe Rogans and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, where they created these things, and they started off in these small offices. They started off with the small things. Joe Rogan, if you see his very, very early episodes, where it's the lowest of quality, and then just built on that. They really built from the inside out, because they had the vision. I'm not saying the vision didn't exist. I'm not saying the vision shouldn't exist for you, but I think the purpose is it's the nucleus of you as the person, but your job is a stem of that. What you do for fun is a stem of that. Your tribe is a stem of that. But your purpose is more like your nucleus. It's your center of gravity, that you build on, and things that are now you as an organism. We'll just use that as simple terms. I'm trying to think if I have anything else. Man, we're at 40 minutes. I know I went on some talks today. I went on some deeper rants, but hopefully I hope that you got out of these 6 things and stuff that I threw in within those 6 things. 6 things we wish we did in our 20s. And also, the world's evolving. If you're 30, 35, 40, I've always said this, and I've said this multiple times on this podcast, where like Sam Walton, the KFC guy, if you've seen the movie The Founder about McDonald's, like not the two brothers, poor guy, I'm a very big advocate about building and bring your team with you if you can. I'm not being selfish, but I digress. These things can still be relevant, and you can still use them even if you're not in your 20s. Maybe we wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. That shit sucks. I think it really sucks, and it actually, I feel it like in my bones, and I feel it in my fingers, where it's like, yeah, I wish I could do a lot of shit too. But we're not there anymore. We are here. We're trying to do this thing. Are we trying our best? Are we asking the right questions? Are we doing the right things? Are we trying? Are we attempting? Are we making attempts? Are we being actionable? Are we taking action on these things? Because we can do that. We can take action on what we want. So, I appreciate your time. Again, we're gonna hit the 45-minute mark here pretty soon. We're done. We're done for today. We're done for today. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Stay safe out there wherever you are in the world. Take care of yourself mentally and physically. Take care of your teams. If you have a team, lead from the front. Lead by example. Don't forget to take out the trash. Pick up, as Jock would say, pick up the brass. Be involved with your team. Even if you have your own office, get out of the fucking chair. Do what you gotta do for your team. Take care of your crew. Help each other. Learn. Ask questions. Be humble, but then if you know something, approach it correctly and help teach and have a teaching moment. It's all good. We all do have something to contribute to these things, whatever it may be. Sometimes the work doesn't give you the experience, but sometimes life gives you the experience. So I think that's it. Happy Veterans Day. It is Veterans Day. I'm just trying to wrap up correctly. Yeah, we'll see you all very, very soon. I can't wait to get back to Texas. and some barbecue. And be with my friends and family again. But, yeah. Alright, I'm done. See y'all hopefully next week.